All right, y'all. So welcome back. We are here. I'm here to teach you guys how to build a jacked physique. No BS guide. I'm going to get straight to the point, tell you exactly what to do. Because a lot of you, that's the thing. You really, really want to get there, but you just don't have the guidance to be able to do it. And yes, there may be times where you can use some extra guidance from other people, like maybe hire a coach, maybe it's just find, a local gym, find a trainer, whatever that looks like. But if you have the foundations intact, you can get started today. So with this, it's a no BS guide. It's everything that I've done with myself, with other clients that I've helped them actually build a jacked physique. And I'll even explain what that means because some of you don't understand my context for it. So let's get into it. So, what does getting jacked actually mean? So, it means one, feeling confident in yourself. Two, having a strong mind from building a strong body. This is very important as well because your mindset develops as you actually build your body, especially when you do it naturally. You go through this process, you go through this journey that's very, very important. Right. So, the next is you're between 10 to 15% body fat year round. Right. So this is actually really important. It's not necessarily about how big you are. Like I said, being aesthetic, not just big, right? You want to be between 10 to 15% body fat year round. You don't want to be over 50%, 15%. If you're over 15%, you have some weight to lose, right? You have some fat to lose because the whole goal around being jacked is actually losing as much fat as possible while also building as much muscle as you humanly can naturally, which again, you also want to be aesthetic and athletic. So that means not a stiff action figure like you see a lot of bodybuilders are that don't necessarily do anything else besides go to the gym and lift weights stationary. You want to be able to move. You want to be able to play basketball. You want to be able to go hiking. You want to be able to do things that are more athletic with the muscles that you have, some sort of functionality, right? Then you also develop a strong and magnetic aura. That's what that means, right? When you walk into a room, people notice your confidence. You have unshakable confidence from the work that you've put in sculpting your body. All of this radiates into your whole life, but you have to be able to get there first, right? You have to have the steps to be able to get there. It's not about how big you can possibly be. I'm not the biggest guy in the world, but I will say that I'm very aesthetic, and I will say that radiates with the confidence that I have, which makes a lot of sense with why people will tend to see the holistic side of everything. See, people look at you holistically. They don't look at how big your delts are, how big your chest is. They don't necessarily look just at that. They look at who you are as a person, what you've done, and that leads to greater opportunities. So this is what being jacked actually means, or getting jacked actually means. So the benefits of getting jacked naturally. So the good thing about this, and because I believe I've done that for myself, some people who are in the bodybuilding space will be like, "You're not jacked, bro," or some people who are haters, "You're not jacked." Okay, whatever. Let's say I am, right? So you will never look too big. Like for me, I will never look too big because I did this naturally, right? I'll never look way too big to where someone's like, this is kind of uncomfortable and gross to look at. You'll always be aesthetic because your body can only develop to a certain level, genetic level that you can get to, right? The second, it will build your mind stronger than if you started using steroids, especially early, right? Like it doesn't make sense. A lot of these young teenagers are doing steroids super, super early, and they're basically like they're staying like this little person in their minds and in their spirits for a long time while they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And you wonder why a lot of these people are immature and they don't necessarily have a good thought process because they just grew way too fast. They didn't even go through and I'm not saying when you do take steroids, not saying that I've done that before, but I've experienced other people taking it. You do have to put in work. You do have to have a good diet, right? You do have to have these things, but there's a lot of leeway to it, right? There's not a lot of challenge compared to doing this naturally, and there's not a lot of frustration that you have to go through that actually molds your mind into being a better person. So next, your natural testosterone will skyrocket, right? And it will remain at those high levels because you did it naturally. When you take enhancements, when you take performance enhancing drugs or steroids specifically, not peptides. That's a whole different story. I'm actually doing research on peptides right now. I've never taken them, but I'm looking at them. But when you take steroids, specifically anabolic steroids, what happens is that it replaces your natural testosterone because you're putting external testosterone or like synthetic testosterone, and it's tricking your body into thinking that it's already producing it, so it shuts down your body's natural testosterone production. So when you get off of that at a certain point in time, maybe you just don't have time to have a needle and stick yourself, or you can't do that all the time, or maybe you just get tired of it. Your natural testosterone is going to plummet, and it's going to be really hard to get it back to even its normal levels. But when you did it naturally, it stays higher because you were able to do this with your body's natural testosterone. There wasn't anything external that was coming inside of you. So it's really important to try to stay natural as long as possible. Next, your lifestyle will drastically change in a positive way. You'll start to be more aware of different things. You see, when people take steroids, they have a lot more leniency, right? So they can eat, you know, bad foods more often than the person who's natural, because their body is burning fat so fast and so consistently, and they're just consistently lean year round because they're taking these things. They're taking these hormones that are actually assisting their body in doing that, but it's also shutting their body's natural processes down. So you're going to be able to have a better lifestyle because you're going to be more conscious of the fact that you need to have these little things like sleep, water intake, making sure that you get sunlight. All these things will change in a positive way because you're more aware of that, right? And also, you'll get significantly more respect within yourself and others. And within yourself is more important, because others, cool. But within yourself, because you know that you've put in such hard work to get something that 99% of the population can't get. And you didn't do it by taking something that is, a steroid, right? And again, it's different. And I'll say that as well. Like, if you're over 40 or you're trying to be a pro bodybuilder, yes, for sure. You probably have to look into that space, right? It makes sense for you. But I'm talking about like the 22 to 36-year-old men, right? You don't necessarily need that right now. And if anything, you might need peptides, which are very different from steroids, by the way. And I can make a whole video around peptides. But you really just have more respect within yourself because you know that you've worked hard to get to where you get to, and you know the pain that and the suffering and everything that it took for you to get there, right? And other people can see that in yourself too, which is why they have more respect for you and the discipline that you have. Once you'll have the foundation for if you actually do want to push it to the next level, with steroids. So for example, like if you're over 40, like I was mentioning, or you're trying to be a pro bodybuilder, you can go that route and know that your foundational strength, your foundational body, your foundational hormones have stayed at a high level, and now you can kick it up a little bit. This is where people mess up. They like to start early and then they go into the whole process, right? And then they figure out that they shouldn't have started early, and then they regret it. So why did it take me 10 years, right? You're probably like, man, it took you 10 years to just look like that. And it's like, yeah. But the thing is, I didn't have direct guidance. Specifically, I was kind of just like going through the motions, watching YouTube influencers that at the time I didn't know took a lot of steroids to look the way that they did. And I was trying to copy their workouts when in reality, the steroids was what was really helping them to look the way that they were, not the workouts themselves. Second, I had no goal to achieve in fitness, so it basically became boring. And I was always just trying to just do something new, right? I didn't finish that sentence, but I was always just trying to do something new. I was always just trying to figure out another fun way for fitness, and I just didn't have a real goal. I didn't care to implement nutrition. So I was eating, like, when I really calculated this out, 1,500 calories a day, and I was a hard gainer, right? So I needed to eat a lot more. But I wasn't, because I just wasn't tracking anything, and I wasn't aware of the foods that I was putting in my body. I was just eating whenever I wanted to or whenever I could, which was rarely, because I was in school at the time. And so, had a lot of work, had a lot of going out, drinking, partying, all of these things. I wasn't eating as much, right? And I trained the same way for years. I did the exact same thing for years, never tried the same weight too, like same exact weights, didn't do any progressive overload. And, I also just didn't change. I didn't try to change anything, right? And I'm a hard gainer, and I didn't understand that some fitness trends like veganism, or those are like more nutrition trends, but like veganism, all these different trends didn't work for me because I needed to consume a lot more calories, right? And I also didn't understand what my body reacted to the most. You have keto, you have all these things. People's bodies react differently to different, like, macro manipulations. And I didn't understand that. So it actually made it harder for me to build more muscle, because I was just hopping on and off of different trends. And then after that, I never sought out a coach to fast track my progress, right? And I'm not saying you need this. And again, I'm not trying to sell you on anything either. Because obviously you guys probably know that I do this for other people. But at the same time, you don't need it. It just saves the frustration and time of not having a path, right? But if you feel like you're dialed in on that, go for it, right? Build your own program, have your own goals, keep yourself accountable. If you can do that, you don't need one, right? But I realized that I needed one down the line, especially when I was going into my first bodybuilding competition. Naturally, I needed a coach to help me through that process. I just wanted a goal. I didn't have any goal whatsoever. So it did help. And then also, I made it a lifestyle. So I wasn't in a rush to look jacked, right? I wasn't in a rush to get to the specific goal. I just had fun going to the gym and eventually eating cleaner. I enjoyed that process. I enjoyed learning about new foods and what they did with my body. I just started liking the whole process, which is what you'll experience when you actually get into the process. So, why 99% of the world is not jacked? So, one, bad genetics is just an excuse. Everyone says, oh, I don't have good genetics. That's not true. It's just an excuse. You just haven't been able to implement a process that actually works for you. And you probably have unrealistic expectations of what you want to look like, right? Two, their lifestyle just is optimized for like work and just high stress. You'll see that with entrepreneurs. They just care all about their work, but then they realize over time that like, well, I need to be in shape and I need to have the energy to be able to then do high level work and lower my stress level so that I am not going overboard and getting burnt out, right? You don't want to get burnt out. And people are just working because they're on the hamster wheel of just trying to make money to then just, pay bills and just stay afloat. That's a common thing, right? So this is a common thing that a lot of people deal with. So that is why part of that 99% of the world is not jack thing exists, right? Then they get comfortable with their current state. They don't really know the other side. They don't know what it feels like to be extremely healthy. They don't know what it feels like to walk around and have people actually like admire the work that you've put into your body, right? To get the respect that you want, to get, the self-respect that you have, right? They don't know that side. So because they don't know it, they haven't experienced it, they just get comfortable with where they're at, right? Then they don't understand nutrition, training, or lifestyle optimization, right? These are important things that I'm going to teach you in this presentation to help you with that process, right? And it's actually hard work. It's not easy. People love comfort. People don't want to actually push themselves. 99% of the population don't want to push themselves. They want to stay in the same state where they just want to be in a comfortable state. All right. And then the next is the coping mechanism saying that looking good is superficial, right? And it's like, well, if that's all you care about, yeah, but that's not what I'm preaching. I'm saying that that's an aspect that you need to master so that way it can complement the other side of actually having a good mind, having a great having articulation, being able to speak better, like all these things to present yourself. It's important to look your best, right? Which is what I define looking jacked as, right? Looking like somebody who's actually put in the work, et cetera, et cetera. Then, they just don't have the motivation or inspiration to do it. They don't have somebody who's actually like giving them the motivation to be able to go every day. There's no reason for them to do it. There's no goal. They have no arbitrary goal. They have no like they have nothing to look forward to. So there's just no motivation to do it. They may do it for one day and then they'll stop. They're not consistent, right? And then last, they just don't have tangible goals to achieve. When you don't have tangible goals to achieve, which was like me, you stop actually trying to pursue it. Like you just don't care about it. You don't really have any like weight goals, and weight doesn't necessarily matter, but you have to have some goal to be able to progress to so that you continue to do what you're doing, right? So let's get into like the real reason why you watch this video. So I'm gonna have two different parts. There's going to be skinny to jacked and there's going to be fat to jacked. I'm just going to give you frameworks on how you can do each one, step-by-step guide, right? No BS, no nothing. So let's start off with nutrition, right? So nutrition, you want to go into a caloric surplus. So this is where you find your maintenance calories. Literally go on Google, type in free calorie calculator, and you'll be able to find something that will tell you what your maintenance calories will be. Then you want to consume 300 to 500 calories above your maintenance calories. And then from there, you want to be able to go up 1,000 calories from your maintenance calories if you want to get bigger faster, right? So when you want to gain size, you want to be able to eat more calories so that way you can build more mass, right? If you want, and again, we can go into like caloric deficit if you want to lose weight, right? Or if you want to lose fat. Thing is, you can still lose fat while still being in a caloric surplus if your metabolism is significantly high. It's a whole nother topic, but we're going to keep this surface level and basic for you to understand. So number two, you want to follow the 80-20 rule. So this is where, you eat clean. So not eating out, you eat home cooked meals, all of that 80% of the time. And then the other 20%, you go out and eat whatever you want, right? Your metabolism is probably significantly higher. You're probably an ectomorph, somebody who just like is a hard gainer. And so you can afford to be able to go out and eat a lot more frequently than other people to make up for the calories that you probably are not consuming, because it is very hard to hit your caloric intake if you're eating clean 100% of the time, right? And then you also want to eat fattier red meat more often. One, because there's a lot of vitamin B complex in there. There's a vitamin B complex in there that's really good for you. There's a lot of iron. There's a lot of these nutrients that it has. And also the healthier fats will help you hit your caloric surplus goal a lot easier and faster, and it obviously tastes better, right? Then you also want to drink 2 to 3 liters of water every day. Self-explanatory. I put a pinch of Himalayan sea salt in there just to keep that water retention. And then you want to have room. You have room to eat richer foods, right? So like richer foods, like going out to different restaurants and things like that more consistently, like I mentioned, because you have a greater caloric threshold. So three, for macros, you want to be 40, and this is like give or take 5% for each, right? So 40% carbs, 30% protein, 30% fats. And then you want to consume more healthier fats if you are still behind on your caloric intake. This is a trick, right? So avocados, olive oil, avocado oil, nuts, etc., things like that. You want to consume those and add those frequently to your foods, because it will help you hit your caloric surplus goal a lot faster, and you won't need to eat as much, because fats have 9 calories. Eat for each gram of fat, there's 9 calories. For each gram of protein, there's 4 calories. For each gram of carb, there's 4 calories. So you can see that fats have a lot more calories. So if you eat more, you'll be able to fill up your caloric bank. Training, right? Let's go through this real quick. So this is going to be a 30-minute presentation, so I want to get through all of this. So first, you want to prioritize compound lifts, such as squats, bench, overhead press, bent over rows, barbell, right? A compound lift is basically using multiple muscle groups all at once. It's a heavier lift. It's better for you. It'll build the mass a lot faster. I tend to do 5 sets of 5 of each of these, depending on what the training split is, which you'll see at the bottom. And then you supplement each compound lift with an accessory exercise at high reps. So three sets of 15 to 20 reps, right? So you have leg extensions, chest flies, shoulder raises, lat pull downs. These are more isolative exercises that aren't taking up more muscle groups. They focus on one muscle group at a time. Progressive overload, you want to increase the weight by 5 to 10 pounds every week. And then you want to focus on tempo, right? So time under tension, 2-second negatives. So 2 seconds down, 1 second back up. Count that in your head. Increase the time under tension when you do accessory lifts. So you can do it 3-second negatives, right? Or 4-second negatives. So that way you're going down a little bit, then you're pushing back up, right? Then the training split. So you want to start with a full body split. I always say this 3 times a week, just on compound lifts for the first 30 to 60 days. So just the compound lifts alone, doing full body will grow you a lot faster, believe it or not. Then you want to move to an upper lower split 4 times a week with compound lifts combined with accessory lifts for the next 30 to 60 days. Then you want to move forward with push pull leg split 5 to 6 times a week. Combined with combining compound lifts with accessory lifts for that last 30 to 60 days. So lifestyle, right? So the lifestyle for you, if you're skinny and you want to get jacked, it's going to be sunlight and supplements, right? So vitamin D, magnesium, zinc, iron, creatine, multivitamin of your choice. It doesn't matter. 30 minutes to an hour of sunlight exposure per day. Infrared sauna if you don't have the sun around you, if it's cold or you don't live in an area with sun. Cold exposure 1 day a week. You want to be able to, maybe it's an ice bath, or maybe it's like cold shower, whatever that looks like. Do that 1 day a week. It'll help. Go on walks consistently. Walking is underrated, but it does help with blood flow. It does help you, be able to just be healthier as a person, right? Take up a sport for functionality, right? People think you are functional in the gym. No, you're functional doing something with the muscles that you've built in the gym. The gym is not the place for functionality. It's for like sport, right? So boxing, MMA, basketball, swimming, yoga, whatever that looks like. Do something outside of the gym for functionality. Number three, go to high quality restaurants and groceries. So shop at healthy grocery stores and opt for organic and grass fed if you have the money, right? Go on dates at high quality restaurants, right? Just experience that lifestyle and then get 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night just for recovery purposes, right? So now, fat to jacked step by step guide. So for the nutrition, you want to go into a caloric deficit. Again, you want to find your maintenance calories through a free calorie calculator. You can look it up on Google. You want to consume 300 to 500 calories below those maintenance calories. So a caloric deficit. Literally, my brain just froze. The diet is going to be a lot cleaner, a lot leaner. So you're looking at white fish such as cod, tilapia. I hate tilapia, so literally I would just say cod. Eating more lean red meat, so filet mignon, not ribeye, right? So nothing with higher fats in it. Consuming complex carbohydrates rather than simple carbohydrates. So rather than your traditional white rice, you might go wild rice, quinoa, sweet potatoes, etc. Those have more they're more complex carbs. So one, they break down in your body a lot better, and they're used for more high sustaining energy. And your body just processes those a lot better, right? It's lower in the glucose that you'll have. It's a low glycemic index. Low glycemic index tends to be processed better by your body. High glycemic index tends to be processed less efficiently, which causes you to get fatter, right? So then you want to drink 2 to 3 liters of water per day, same thing, right? And then eat out 1 day a week as a cheat meal or cheat day. You don't want to do multiple. You want to just stick with one because one, you want to reset your metabolism. You want to be able to also not feel like you're restricted, and you want to be able to eat what you need to eat at the times that you eat it. So that way during the week, you're not tempted by other things, right? You can stay dialed in on your diet because your goal is to lose. Your goal is to get to a certain goal look. You want to be able to eat for that and also add in certain times where you'll be able to eat out, right? Your macros are going to be 25% carbs, 40% protein, 35% fats, right? So lower carbs, higher protein, higher fats. It's going to be a lot better for you. It's going to help you with just overall like fat loss and just losing weight in general. So your training, pretty similar. So compound lifts, you're just going to do less sets, higher reps. So again, prioritizing the compound lifts. Like I mentioned previously, you want to supplement each lift, like I was saying, with an accessory exercise at higher reps. So 3 sets of 15 to 20 rather than the other one, which was, I think, 3 sets of like 10 to 15. Progressive overload. So you want to increase the weight by 5 to 10 pounds every week. Time under tension, same thing. Training split, you want to basically start with full body again 3 times a week, just on the compound lift. So the first 30 to 60 days. Then you want to move to push pull legs 5 to 6 times a week, combining the compound lifts with the accessory lifts, like I mentioned, and doing them respective of the specific day. If it's a push day, obviously you're going to do you could do squats, or no, you can do bench, you can do overhead press, you can do maybe like some accessory lifts as well with that in between, just pushing movements, right? Pull movement, same thing. And then move to body part splits at the very end. So like that last like 30 to 60 days. So I'm saying 30 to 60 because you're either going on a 3-month cycle or you're going on a 6-month cycle of like, where you want to get to, whatever your goal is. So whatever that looks like on that last like cycle, whether it's 30 to 60 days, you want to move to chest, shoulders, back, legs, and arm split. So like the typical bro split for 5 days a week. The reason for this is because now you want to get more aesthetic. You want to start actually like sculpting the muscles that you have now built for yourself, and you're already leaner. And so now it's time to really just make everything pop, right? So that's why I tend to do that for that time. And it's more fun too. You're able to just work on one muscle group at a time. It's different. And a lot of people enjoy that part, right? So then it's high intensity interval training sprints, right? So 20 seconds on full speed on the treadmill sprinting, and then 10 seconds hopping off, and doing that for about 10 rounds. You want to do that 3 times a week. That's going to help you a lot with just like cardio and just getting leaner and just feeling a lot better, right? Walk 30 minutes per day minimum. That's also very important. So your lifestyle, very similar to the person who is super skinny and wants to get jacked. So sunlight and supplements, vitamin D, magnesium, zinc, iron, creatine, multivitamin of your choice. Then you have yohimbine, right? Yohimbine HCl is going to help you with your metabolic, just increasing your metabolic rate, having you burn fat a lot faster. 30 minutes to an hour of sunlight exposure every day. Infrared sauna again if there's no sun. Cold exposure 1 day a week, and go on walks daily, right? Again, take up a sport for functionality and also increased cardio. So boxing, MMA, basketball, swimming, et cetera, et cetera. Same thing, go to high quality restaurants and grocery stores. The only thing is prioritize protein when you eat out and then finish off with a little bit of carbs, because a lot of people tend to get fat when they go out to eat because they start with carbs, they eat way too much, they overspill, then they eat a little bit of protein, and so it's off. You want to be able to reverse that, and you'll actually eat a lot less and get a lot fuller with smaller amounts of food. Then you want, again, to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night. This is essentially all you need to be able to get to the goals that you have, respective of whether you want to go from skinny to jacked or you want to go from fat to jacked. It's two different processes, but there are some similarities, as you can see. I didn't add protein in any of those supplements, like getting like protein powder, because it's optional. I don't use one right now. But if it's something where you feel like you're not getting enough from your diet, then definitely use it as a supplement. Remember, these are supplements. These are not your real foods. So thanks for watching. I hope this style of video helped to kind of like clear things up and get you aware of what you need to be doing. Again, I do frameworks. I don't do tactics. But I appreciate you, and I will catch you on the next video. Like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend who is looking to get jacked and they're at a certain phase that makes sense for them to watch this video. Sign up to the free email list, of course, below, and also schedule a one-on-one consultation with me if you're interested in coaching. Of course, no force, no pressure. But if you are looking to work with me because you think I'm cool, or you want to look like me or something along those lines, hit me. I got you. So I'm going to catch you on the next video. Peace.